Well, hey guys, welcome. My name is Brendan. I got Craig with me today. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of the Vision Code. Today we're going to talk about who Craig is, where he came from, and how he got into the business of roofing. Craig is one of our top guys. He's selling like crazy. Since you've been here, you've sold the most, right? Since you've been here, you started last May.
Yeah, I think so overall. Yeah.
So out of the whole company, we got some killers.
Yeah, we do.
Guys, this dude is freaking a monster. So I just wanted to take an opportunity to shout him out and just see where you come from, see what you've learned, and kind of tell us like what you like about the business and all that stuff. So
Sounds good.
let them know, who are you, where you come from, and I guess kind of give them your story.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Thanks, man. Thanks for letting me be on the first
yeah,
episode.
dude.
I feel privileged.
First
for sure.
one.
Yeah,
Heck
awesome.
yeah.
So I'm Craig Roark. I'm originally from Oklahoma. I've been here in Texas since 2009. So I am now a Texan, right? So all my kids are Texans. So been in DFW since then. I came to Vision last year, about mid-May is when I came over. Before coming to Vision, I was in real estate for 7-8 years. I worked in real estate, mostly helping with buying and selling, but did some investing as well. Just got to a point with the way the market was in real estate that I felt like I needed a change that was more stable, but I wanted something that was still home related and customer related. Being able to help people is really why I liked real estate, and I wanted to do something the same way where I could just help people.
Yeah.
And I had a buddy that was in roofing, actually, that started talking to me about it, and the more he told me, the more intrigued I was. So I started looking into it. I didn't end up working with him, but when I first started looking into it, I interviewed with 6 different companies, as you know, and interviewed with some big companies. Some people had a lot of good stuff to say, but I knew after I talked with Brendan here that Vision was perfect for me. It was the right fit, man. There's just a lot of the same drive and determination that I've built the company on is exactly how I live my life. And I know it's been the right decision by how it's gone so far. So God has been good, and it's been a blessing for me and the family.
Dude, you've been absolutely killing it. Okay, so Craig's being humble. He's a stud athlete, or at least you used to be. Tell me about, so you went to school in Oklahoma.
Yes.
What year did you graduate high school?
I graduated in 2005.
You're old.
Yeah, I'm an old man.
You're old. You're officially unk status.
I'm unk in the group for sure.
And then did you go straight to Nebraska?
Went straight to Nebraska.
Okay.
I was a U.S. Army All-American out of high school. At that time, they have all these All-American games and all this in football.
Yeah.
At that time, the U.S. Army game was the only one. So it was top 66 players in the country got to compete in it. And I played all but 4 plays in the game, and was blessed to meet a lot of really good guys. Some of them are still playing, believe it or not, 20 years later.
So like the Army games, is that like a showcase, I guess you would say?
Yeah, it's on ESPN, CBS.
So were you already committed?
I was already committed, yeah. A lot of guys will commit on those shows, but I committed this summer before my senior year.
So typically, like for those Army games or whatever, do they know where they're going, or do some of them use it as an opportunity to...
Some of them will do the hats.
Showcase kind of.
For sure.
I've seen that.
Yeah, and that was kind of where it started. The hat pulling and putting the hats on kind of started at those U.S. Army games, because during timeouts and during breaks, they'll go to the sidelines and they'll put the hats on and stuff. There were probably 15 or 20 of the guys there that committed during the game.
That's cool.
So yeah,
that's cool. You weren't cool enough for that. You weren't good enough.
Man, I wanted to help build my. You know how I am. I wanted to help build my team.
Yeah.
Right. So I was trying to build a championship, and everything I do, I'm trying to compete and be the best. So I wanted to help build the program and the team. So I committed before my senior year started, so I could help recruit guys.
That's cool.
So
did you recruit anybody?
Oh yeah, I had a lot of guys several of them. I wouldn't say I was the only one that helped recruit on Ndamukong Suh, but he was one of the guys I talked to.
I've heard of that guy.
But yeah, he's played for quite a while.
That's
one of the highest paid players in the NFL. So
he retired
a couple of years ago. I would say
like
3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But
stud.
Absolutely, I got to play with a lot of guys just like Ndamukong.
How did you? So you're saying that you recruited him, or you played a part in it?
Just talking to him about the process and why I chose Nebraska and all that stuff.
How did y'all come about?
Other coaches kind of connecting us and stuff.
That's cool.
He wasn't one I talked to a lot, but I did connect with him before he committed. Cool. And he played in that game as well, so we got to know each other through that. Nice. Several guys. We had a guy named Philip Dillard that's from Oklahoma as well. I played a big part in helping recruit him.
Nice.
You know, and he went there and went and he played in the NFL as well. So lots of guys like that.
Just been
It's
leading
pretty
since day one.
Trying to, man.
Leaders
Trying,
lead, man.
yeah.
Leaders lead.
You know, I just want to be a part of something big.
Yeah.
You know, and that's
Heck yeah.
I think everything in life I've tried to raise my kids the same way. You know, be a part of something bigger than yourself. For sure. And that's why I chose Vision too, for sure.
Yeah.
So
When you went to Nebraska, they were like one of the top teams at that time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So they'd won national championships all through the 90s. You know, we're still big time. They had the last one they'd been in was 3 years before was 2 years before I started getting recruited. 3 years before I committed and got there, they played Miami in national championship. So,
awesome.
So they were a lot better at that back at that. Not that they're getting better now, but we went through a rough patch, you know. So, but man, it was a different animal. Then we were still in the Big 12, you know, and played. You know, I was there for 3 years, and 2 of the 3 years I was there, we played for the championship. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
How much playing time did you have?
So I redshirted, traveled and stuff. I didn't actually end up playing very much there, and one of the reasons I ended up leaving was because of the injuries. Is the big reason I didn't get to play a lot, but yeah, I got to travel and see a lot of stuff, man, and be a part of something.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty
no matter
big.
what, that's super cool
For sure.
We have. Did you know one of our guys, Cole? He played at Oklahoma State.
Yeah, Cole Anthony, right?
Yeah, he was kind of like, yeah, I didn't really play much, but it was cool, like traveling and
absolutely.
All that stuff.
He's a part of it, man. It's like I said, bigger than yourself. So that's
I think they won like the Fiesta Bowl or whatever, and he's got a ring or whatever.
That's cool. So. Yeah, I've got a bunch of those too. That's pretty cool.
It's cool.
Yeah.
So how long were you at Nebraska?
I was there 3 years.
Okay.
And then I went to East Central University is where I finished. My brother was playing there.
Where's
it's in my hometown.
Okay.
Right. So a hometown team went there, played the whole time I was there when I wasn't injured.
Yep.
Right. But went really well, and then went into coaching from there.
Okay.
So got into coaching
what did you major in?
So I was a minor in accounting and entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And I majored in kinesiology. So because I was going into coaching and teaching at the time. So
did you do? I know you coached here locally. Where did you go when you first started coaching?
So my first job right out of college was at Irving High School here in Texas.
So that's why you moved to Texas.
Yeah, that's why I came here.
Okay.
Came here and
Got it.
Moved here. I went back to Oklahoma for a couple of years and taught and coached there. Was a head coach for a little bit in Oklahoma. And I was a head wrestling coach for a long time too. So every year I was coaching, I was a head coach in wrestling. So right out of college, I was a head wrestling coach as well. Football was my main sport, but and you know, until I got into coaching, and wrestling just something I fell in love. I've always been in wrestling too, but
is coaching, because I felt like every coach in high school, they did like baseball or something, especially like the football coaches, they do football and they had to do something like track.
Yeah.
So is that the same thing for you?
Same
you
thing.
You
had to do 2 sports. Yeah. Until I got my last job I had before I got into real estate was at Timber Creek High School here in Texas, and it's a bigger school. I had over 200 kids in my wrestling program. I was actually
6A, right?
Yeah. I was actually only wrestling coach there, so I didn't actually do football at that point.
So is that more common when you get into the bigger schools?
To the bigger schools, you just don't have a choice. It's just so much time, and they wrestle year round.
Is that only the head coaches?
Yeah, the assistants will still do all the two sports, sometimes 3.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so
never off,
never off, man.
Never off.
You're really not as a head coach either, because we have our regular season where we're doing stuff, and in wrestling you have different styles of wrestling, right? So you go straight from the normal high school wrestling into it's called freestyle and Greco, which is Olympic style wrestling.
Got it.
That we'd go right into right after our season was over.
Never ends.
All year. So really the big reason I got out of coaching was because he was 5 at the time when I left coaching, and I was starting to miss his games and missing seeing him grow, and BT ball wasn't able to coach him or
and you're
just missing his stuff.
Cooper,
right? My oldest
boy.
son. Yeah, who's going to be a freshman this year, by the way. But he, you know, I was missing his, and I thought I didn't get into coaching to not coach my own kids and to miss my own kids' stuff. It's backwards, you know. I'm raising other people's kids and not my own. So that was the big thing that helped me. You know, other stuff too, but that was the big thing that helped me to decide I needed to make a change. You know, something where I had more control over my schedule.
What year was that?
2016, 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you went straight into real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Who'd you meet? How did that all happen?
Yeah. So I've always been a kind of a people person, you know, and I just kind of learned that we had a mom actually and she's still in real estate. It's actually, I've done a couple of roofs for her, right? For her. So she actually convinced me to look at real estate. Her name is Jill Brumley. Shout out Jill. But and she convinced me to check it out, and I looked into it, and I kind of learned through the process, as a head coach in sports, especially in a sport like wrestling, you're having to get multiple different personalities, all over the place personalities to come to one common goal, and it's the same thing in real estate, same thing in roofing. You're dealing with people that are just completely different personalities than you, than each other, even, right? And we have to come down to that common goal. And I learned those tactics and those ability to do that through coaching. So it's crazy. I learned sales through coaching, but I really did.
Weird. It's weird how like just different things can translate into what we do. Like when I always tell people like my story, like when I was in ministry full time, and I think we've talked about this before, but like the no never bothered me when I got here. Of course. Because I was going to these reaches, is what we call them. So we go to pep rallies, we go to school lunches, and I'm like, a 19, 20-year-old kid, grown man, whatever, with middle schoolers on a lunch stage, right? And maybe when you're at Timber Creek or some of the other schools, maybe you had some student pastors or whatever come in too. It's just like, there were so many times where these kids were just ruthless. I mean, they would just let you have it. Like they'd call me all sorts of names or whatever, but like it just, I guess, like built a callus. So not only that, but there's like so many different things that translate into this. And it's not just this, it's probably just life in general, but it's weird. Like you would never think coaching.
No, for sure.
Would
well, and you're
translate
right,
to roofing.
The ruthless part of it, like in the ability to handle no, like high school, if you want ruthless people, go to a high school and spend a while, right? Because
I don't want to go back to high school.
No filter, brother. No filter.
I do not want to go back to high school.
I remember 22, 23 years old, right out of college, getting into I was straight into high school coaching, straight into high school students that are 5 years younger than me, and some of them 4 years younger than me. And they tell you how they feel, real quick.
Oh, yeah. So. I remember I did a reach. Oh, what school was it at? It was a middle school in Keller. I think it was Hillwood Middle School. And I would stand like on a path where some of the kids would walk home where it was very visible. Some of the teachers knew us or whatever. And we just pass out cards like on a Monday when they're getting out of school or on a Tuesday. Hey, man, y'all come to service tonight, whatever. And I remember this one kid came up to me. I mean, I think this school is like 7th and 8th graders, so he's probably in 7th grade, small little kid. And he goes, I'm not going to church. You're gay. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Wow. Tell me how you really feel. I wonder how he was in high school. He's probably way worse. Probably used some more words. It's just stuff like that. Like, I mean, like we hear that all the time.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like
develop thick skin.
Like that. One of the big questions that I get all the time is like, especially like when we do interviews or just when people talk about like what I do when we go to like birthday parties, I'm sure you hear this too. It's like, how do you get your business? How do you get leads? Are you paying for leads? Are you, whatever? Yeah. We don't really pay for leads as a company. I know you know that. So we knock doors.
Absolutely.
all the time.
Oh yeah.
I mean, how many doors do you think you knock a week? I know.
Oh my goodness.
Since it changes, right? Like when you start,
it's more.
It's almost all you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. You have some referrals that you can use, but we talked about this the other day. Like, I think you said on an interview the other day, like you'd say like 60, maybe 70% of your roofs now are referrals. Yeah. But when you start, they're not.
Probably 95% was door knocking.
Like
when I started.
If you had to guess, like how many doors did you knock a week when you first started?
Well, I'll just say this. This is a great thing to remember back on. My first 3 weeks in the company, I went through 2,000 business cards.
It's freaking awesome.
So like
2,000 business cards.
My first 3 weeks, you had to order more cards for me after 3 weeks.
That's probably company record. That's probably company record.
I got to get out there, man. I knew. Here's the thing, man. Like you got to know your reason for doing what you're doing. Yeah. Right. In our business, if you don't have a good reason for what you're doing and have that as constantly on your mind and at the top of what you're thinking of, you're not going to be successful. Yeah. And if you have a big why, which for me is my family, my 3 kids and my wife, and I know, and I told you this when I was first interviewing with you, I was like, I don't have a choice but to be successful. Because if I don't, we don't eat. Yeah. So yes, my wife does well in her job, but just the lifestyle we live now and where we're at in our life, what she makes does not cover our family, just normal expenses. So I knew I had to get out and push. And that's I think you have to have that mindset, even if it's, say you're new, you're 19 or 20, which we have some of those, right? You still need to make goals. You still need to come out and have the right mindset of, look, here's what I'm doing, and keep that fresh. You know, silly thing I do, I'll say silly. I put sticky notes on my mirror at the house, and it kind of has goals and stuff. It's something I've done long. I need to update them. I haven't done that this year as much, but I need to update my notes. Just a reminder of what I'm shooting for. You know, always keeping goals of, if I make, it's something silly I've done, and I'm about to get my wife. So I'll share. I'll share a story real quick. That's something that we went through, that struggle we went through. So when I had come into moving into Vision, you know, we had just bought a investment home that didn't go well, right? So it put us in,
when you were like trying to flip
houses.
right?
Yeah, we were flipping houses. Didn't go well. We bought a place in South Lake, you know, so it put us in a financial hole, right? Well, at that time, just paying bills and stuff was tough, right? So Sarah had sold she had some designer purses and stuff, and she had sold that stuff, you know, and it's something, and it didn't bother her at all. You know, she's not about that stuff. That's not who she is, but it bothered me that she had to do that, you know. It really did. So it's been a thing that's just bothered me ever since. But we also wanted to get in a place where we're stable financially before we ever thought about stuff like that. Well, I'm taking her tomorrow to get a new Gucci purse, right? So that's a big deal to me. And we, you know, getting the new cars and all that stuff is great too. But something as small and simple as a designer purse, you know, is a big deal to me. It means something because it's, you know, it's something she gave up for our family, you know, and just the ability to do that because of what Vision has provided has been, it's something that's cool.
Well, there's a platform with us, and we've got some processes and procedures, but like, you know, I say this all the time in these meetings, it comes down to the individual, right? But like, I think for guys like you and me and a lot of other of our leaders and just a lot of our guys, we say this in interviews all the time. Like, I don't know of another job, another industry where it's set up enough when you work with a solid company. Because trust me, there's some bad apples out there, and I know you ran into them when you were doing your interviews, and we see them all day long. But when it's set up for you in the right way, I just don't know of anything else out there that is going to reward somebody actually going to get it. Like going back to your card thing, like you giving out 2,000 cards in your first 3 or 4 weeks, in your first month of being here, where in real estate, you weren't really knocking doors.
No,
right?
like just on open houses.
There's cold calls and stuff, but like literally knocking on going on somebody's front doorstep and knocking on their door, saying, "Hey, I need to look at your roof." Right? However you want to say it. It's different, and you never done that, but you realized just from your experience and just who you are, I'm not going to get good at it if I don't do it.
Absolutely, and that's what it came down to.
If these guys are doing it and they're making great money, and that's what I want for my life, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna figure it out. And all the training helps or whatever, but I don't want you to discredit or like anybody that might be watching this think like, oh yeah, man, roofing's easy. It's set up, and you know, just because you go through insurance is the only reason that you guys have a job. It's like you don't really know until you get into it, right?
No, it's tough. It absolutely is. But at the same time, the thing that makes one of the reasons I chose Vision and the thing that's made it different is the platform and the setup you have and the structures in place are next level, you know. And I've talked to so many guys that are in roofing that don't have that. They don't have the, you know, they're kind of going out there blind.
It's lost puppy syndrome.
It really is, man. And I, you know, I'm humble enough. I've been through enough where I haven't done well and stuff, and I've had to learn that when I started, and I think you can attest to this. I listened. I asked questions, and George, who is my VP, has been godsend to me. Right, and we've become
George is the best.
Yeah, and we've become best friends through this, and it's like he'll tell you to this day. I call him more than any project manager he ever had, even though I was his top producer. But it's because I didn't want to make those mistakes. You know, I knew he knew, and if I ask him once, I'm probably not asking him again. Yeah, you know.
Well, I remember to that point when you first started, I remember you asking me for one of our other VPs, Brandon. Yeah, asking for his number. I think you asked for like James's number as well, one of our other VPs, and just some other guys, and you were like, "Hey, just send me their number." And I remember Brandon specifically because you know he's great at all sorts of different things, and we'll have him on so y'all can know who he is. But he was at this time. I think the reason you were reaching out to him was for supplements, right? So if you don't know what a supplement is, if insurance doesn't pay enough, we find that there was something on the roof, we got to get them to pay more. Long story short, and there's art to it. And I remember you were like, I need to reach out to him. I need to talk to him. And that was like within the first like 2 weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
You didn't even have an open job, and you're like, I want to know
Absolutely.
how it works.
Yeah, well, and the reason I did that, that's great you brought that up, because not only did you mention to me that he's the best in the company with supplements,
Yeah.
George did as well, right? George was good at it, but if I'm learning this, I want to learn from the best, because my goal is to be the best, right? And or to be at least in that conversation, you know? So I knew if I was going to do that, and he was good about finding the right verbiage to get things covered when sometimes they're not, right? So things that are there, things that we clearly take pictures of and say, hey, you didn't cover this, but sometimes, you know as well as anyone, insurance doesn't cover that, right? So he's great. His organizational skills with supplements were next level, and I wanted to learn that, you know. And I've kind of taken, I'm not as good as he is at it, but I've taken a lot of what he does and kind of made it my own, and it's really helped me with my supplements and that kind of stuff. Same with James, but his was more. Him and George both bring two different things to the table, right? George is a little more laid back, you know, with he's great at making people feel comfortable and like he's their best friend.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he can be friends with anyone, right?
Oh, yeah.
But James has a way about him where he can make tough conversations really easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like make them where it's like. Something that most people feel is awkward, and he makes it like it's a normal thing. Yeah, you know, and brings it up, and it's really good with his verbiage and all that stuff. So I just wanted to
I think that's
brain.
one of the cool things about like the industry, and I think just what we have here is like, you know, I'm not perfect at it, but I try to give everybody the freedom. You know, hey, there's a path that we're on. We want to stay on track, but there's a few different ways to do this stuff,
For
right?
sure.
And it's cool to see guys like James and George and all these other leaders, and not even leaders, just the project managers we have too, how they approach it. And I was always a big proponent, you know, before I had my own company, and really even before I got into leadership, where I tried to make a point to work with different people all the time.
For sure.
And even guys that weren't even what I thought close to my skill level, as brash as that sounds.
No, not at all.
I still learn things, not only like, hey, I probably shouldn't do this, but also like, hey,
that was good.
They actually do that well.
Yeah.
I'm going to steal that and I'm going to use that. So again, it's like, I think one way, you know, kind of shifting to like leadership and like, I think one lesson that I've learned just being in leadership for a while is I can tell somebody is going to be good when they ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
When I was working at the church full time, the head pastor had an acronym for asking questions, like, you know, it's always seeking knowledge.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
When you look at guys that do well in life, people that do well in life, you know, if you're with them behind closed doors, they're always asking questions.
For sure.
Right? They're like, you know, how did you do this? Why did you do this?
Yeah.
What about this? What about that? And like, you definitely weren't annoying, but I could tell like, yeah, like this guy's going to ask a lot of questions.
For sure.
Like it worries me when somebody doesn't ask me questions. And I don't think it correlates with somebody caring or not.
No.
I think some people just don't understand, like, it's a good thing to ask questions and you're not bothering me.
That's
like,
what people think is they're bothering you. And it's not in our business. It's not that way at all. Yeah.
Like you should be asking questions. Like with all this training that we do and all these processes and procedures we have set up, like I can't go over everything.
No.
You can't go over everything.
Every deal's different.
You know, so like what might come easy to you might not come easy to another guy.
For sure.
And yeah, we can kind of see that as leaders, but we don't know exactly what's going on in their head.
For
you
sure.
know? So like I implore, like, ask me questions.
Yes.
Like I don't care if you're not annoying me. I don't care if it's a bad time to call me. If I don't answer, I'll call you back. But like I would rather know, like, whether it's a struggle, whether it's like, hey, should I do this or not? Like I can't see into people's brains.
For
right?
sure.
So again, that's just a testament to you, like, dude.
I think you
ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, I think you probably figured out in the first interview we did when I think I asked you more questions than you did me. So
yeah,
I was
literally I was being interviewed. You actually interviewed me, and so like we get a lot of our applicants and guys that work with us from Indeed. We put out a lot of Indeed ads and a lot of word of mouth or whatever. But you were from Indeed.
Yep.
You know, we talk about this now that you're in leadership. You can kind of see like doing the ZipRecruiters and the Indeed ads and stuff like that. It's, you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And I got stories about some of the interviews that we've done. Hey, we love them. God loves them, but we got some stories.
Absolutely.
Like you are by far like the best thing to ever come out of Indeed, right?
That's good to hear.
You know, because again, like you're
Thank you.
you're experiencing some of that right now.
Absolutely.
But I remember, like most of the time we do these interviews, whether it's Indeed or not, you know, they'll go like 30 minutes,
Yeah.
right? Because you know we try to cut down to the chase of like, hey, this is a commission role. You're 1099. You knock freaking doors.
Yeah.
It's not easy. You know, because we'd rather know up front, like, do you really want to do this? Do you really want to sacrifice for it? Because if not, I don't want them wasting their time, and we don't want to waste our time.
For sure.
But I just like that call went like an hour?
It was over an hour.
Well over an hour.
Almost 2 hours.
Well
it was
over an
almost
hour.
2 hours. It really was.
Yeah, we like it just.
Well, it ended up we were just talking about life. By the time it was over, it wasn't even about the job really. That's honestly, and that's what made me know this was the right fit. Is I felt like, you know, the relationship. I mean, the work relationship's the most important when it comes to the job, but you got to like who you're working with too. You know, and I'm like, I was like, we're very like-minded, so I knew it was going to be a good fit.
You know, and again, we've talked about this a million times, but like, if you're with our job, we're around our people a lot.
Yes,
a lot, and sometimes like a little too much.
Oh yeah,
right. It's like it's almost like another family.
It really is. It's a work family,
you know,
for sure.
We don't just show up 9 to 5. Like we're going into households at 7 p.m. You know, we're knocking doors, and also too, like when you're knocking doors, you know, we call it the trenches. Like that's really where you form relationships with your coworkers, is whenever y'all are both winning and losing.
Yeah.
Right. Like I remember when I first started, when I was working with our CFO, you know, back when he was selling roofs with me, like I just remember so many times where it was good, but like the bad times, like it just strengthened our relationship even more.
Struggle.
Because we're both like dealing with this problem. Like,
Absolutely.
you know, I tell guys all the time, like, you should go knock with somebody, because when you go knock with somebody, if somebody's rude to you, you can laugh it off.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, that dude was crazy. That guy tried to cuss us out or whatever. But when you're by yourself, you're like, this is the worst.
That sucked.
That was not fun. This is tough, and I'm going to go home.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that's cool. How many, I know you said you did like 6 interviews, you talked whatever, just like 6 different companies.
On that note, before you even asked me a question on that, so I almost didn't, I don't know if I've told you that, I almost canceled our interview.
I don't think you told me that.
Yeah, so I had actually already picked someone I was going to work with.
Okay.
I was planning to work with, and I, you know, obviously I'm a research guy, so I'd already done research, and I almost had canceled this just because, you know, you're newer than they were. They had a bigger company. But my wife, so you can give a shout out. You can thank her.
Hashtag Sarah. Come on now.
She convinced me to finish it out. It's like, you've already scheduled it. You know, it's not gonna, you know. And I thought it'd be like, my other ones were like 30 minutes, like you're talking about. So I thought it'd be 30 minutes, and we got on the phone, and I got off, and I told her, this is the company. It's like it's just different. You know, I could just tell it was different. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Something.
Well, I think everything happens for a reason. We got another guy, Ian, that works with us that we'll probably bring on here at some point. He's got a cool story. We met. Were you at that? I don't think you were at that. You weren't at that dinner.
No.
This was like, I guess this is probably like right when you first started.
Yeah.
Because I think we met him in like June. So
Yeah. So my first full month.
yeah. So we do 100K club dinners. Basically, if you sell $100,000 in a month, which, you know, our average deal size is about 30K. So you sell 4 deals in a month, you should be hitting around 400K or 100K. We'll do a dinner, and we go out to Nick and Sam's, Perry's, whatever. Perry's is our spot. He was a server at Perry's, and kind of similar, just weird kind of, if this thing didn't exactly happen, we never would have met him.
Yeah.
His boss told him, hey, we're slow tonight, because I think it was like a Monday night. You're good to go home, or we have another table in like 20 minutes. You can wait on them, and you can serve them, and then you can go home. And he's like, well, I'm just going to go home and do nothing, so I might as well just make some money. And, you know, we met him, and he just, you know, Ian, he's
changed his life.
Good looking guy and whatever. And he just, I remember he asked, he's like, what do you guys do? Like, why are y'all here tonight? And he was just like very straightforward, and we just talked to him and told him. But again, like if he wouldn't have taken that table, if you wouldn't have taken that interview, it's like, you never know. You never know.
It was almost like a Wolf of Wall Street moment, right? We're like, you show me your paycheck now, I'll quit my job.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. So that's basically what Ian did. He was like, whoa, y'all sold how much in a month? Which in 100K, like that's, if you do that consistently, you're doing very well, which you do very well. You've hit 100K 4 months in a row now, which being consistent on that end, you know, some people will be like, oh, that's not that hard to do. You show me that over the course of 4, 5, 6 months. You know, there's a handful of people that can do that. So like, people in the comments, you'll be like, I've sold 500K in a month, a million in a month.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's the consistency is the hard part. That's
So there's not a roller coaster, right?
For
It's
sure.
consistent. Yeah.
well, which I know is important to you because you know, like, hey, if I'm selling around 100K a month baseline, I know I'm making X per month.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why it's my goal every month.
And I know you've done the math because you know that's who you are. Like, so if you're selling 100K a month, like, what are you typically making a month?
Between 18 to 20 grand, something around that.
Yeah,
Typically.
and then you'll have months where you
If it's at 100.
if it's at 100. So, but like, what's your best month this year?
I've had a couple. I've had one over 200. I have several right around there.
So you had one in, I think that was what, May. May was a big month for all of us.
230, 240.
So, you know, if you're making roughly 20K off of 100K sales, you just made 40K in that month.
Yes, sir.
Right? It's like, start doing math, you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
like there's money in this. But it's
Absolutely.
the consistency that's hard.
Yes.
Um,
And I've seen it, and I learned that in real estate. So that's why I've kind of worked on that, because like you could have a month where you make. I mean, we've had guys that had, you know, that aren't with us anymore, that would have a month where they made. I can think of a guy that made 300K in a month, and then didn't have anything for three months after.
Sold 300K.
Yeah.
Didn't make 300K.
No, not 300. Made 300K in sales.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
Clarify.
So yeah, for sure. So it made about 60 grand in that
yeah.
month. You know, 50 to 60 grand. And then didn't have a sell for 3 months. Right. And that's kind of the roller coaster of it. And it's why it's one thing that Brennan sells to everyone, or just tells them over and over. It's always about the next job, right?
Absolutely.
It's never about just that. You always got to think the next step. And if you don't, you're going to have those months.
Well, the thing to realize is it's a choice. I think people fall into the trap, like, because we're a cradle to grave company, meaning we knock the door, however we get the lead, referral, whatever, all the way to picking up the last check and you collect your commission.
Yep.
Some companies out there, which I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think there's anything right with it. I think there's just a couple ways to do it. You'll get the lead, whether it's given to you, you knock the door, again, however you get it. And then once you sign the contract, it goes to a production team and you're making less commission, but you can sell more theoretically. I am obviously biased where I think you should go cradle to grave, because I think the hard part is selling it, not managing the project.
100%.
So as long as you can actually care enough to close the job out and communicate and not put it on the back burner for 2-3 months, that's really the easy part, right?
For sure. Well, and I on that point too, I think it's hard for me as a salesman. I believe I will never pitch something that I don't believe in, right? So when I tell them, and that's why I feel like I'm very good at upgrades, right? Because everything I pitch for upgrades is stuff I do to my own home, right? And I always put it as if it's my own property.
Yep.
And I can't sell them that I'm going to treat a job like it's my own property if I'm not going to be there the whole way through.
100%.
You know what I mean? So, because I can't guarantee it's going to be taken care of that way if I'm not there.
Well, one of the complaints I hear from homeowners that have gone with a company like that, and again, not that there's anything wrong with it, somebody knocked their door, they like them enough to say, yeah, get on my roof. You walk through the process, you get them paid by the insurance company, you go through shingle colors, y'all know each other by name, obviously, at this point, and y'all probably talked about the kids and whatever, right? You built that rapport, and then you sell them, and then now you might get somebody who is probably, because they're not in sales, they're not as personable, right? If it's going to an office staff and no one's really showing up at the door or in face-to-face to collect checks or what, I just think you're missing that opportunity. And I think, you know, like we talked about, we do meetings on this all the time. Like you get referrals after you sell the roof.
Yes,
you
most
know,
of mine are.
You don't really get the referrals when you knock the door or when you show up to the adjuster meeting. I mean, how often do we get referrals before we sell the job?
You're right.
Virtually never.
That's what you're missing when you do it that way. I think you're missing the chance for more growth and opportunity.
Yes.
Like you said, you know, my first 6 months earlier, 95% was door knocking.
Yeah.
Well, now probably 30 to 40% is door knocking, because past clients, you know, other referral sources from people I've met too, but those are people I've met through door knocking. Those are people I've met through helping them all the way through the process, and they've actually seen the care I put into my clients, right? So without doing that, they wouldn't have seen that. I wouldn't have got those referrals. I probably wouldn't have half as much of the businesses I've had.
100%.
You know?
Well, and again, not saying it's the right way or wrong way. I think there's good things about it. There's bad things about it. But going back to where I was going with that is like worrying about the next job and not riding this roller coaster. At the end of the day, it's a choice. Point blank, period. There are going to be times, the way we do it, where you have to go pick up a check. You have to go put out a fire. You have to do these things. But, to your point, like what I try to bring up and talk about, especially with the new guys in these meetings, is like, hey, you want to find a balance, right? It's all about balance, but nothing really should be more important to you in your role with how we have stuff set up than where's my next roof coming from?
Yeah, for sure.
Where's my next paycheck coming from? Because if that's not on the forefront of your mind and that's not what's most important to you, in 2 months, you're like, man, where'd all the money go?
Yeah,
Why am I
for
not
sure.
making money? And I think that's one thing that scares people probably about getting into the business when it's, full commission 1099 like we do it, is like, man, I'm afraid of jumping into it because what if it doesn't work? What if I go through a low month? What if I go through a slow month? What if? What do you have to say to that?
Honestly, in my opinion, I think that's where great leadership becomes really important because, and I've talked to my guys, I've even interviewed about this. Like, one of my things I've told people I'm going to help them with is keeping that from happening.
Yeah.
Right. Being very intentional with your time is super important. Right. And it's one thing I feel like I've become very good at.
Yes.
And I can help those guys at, having someone you can lean on. It goes back to asking questions.
Yeah.
Right. And goes back to, understanding you don't know it all, right? Even if you feel good about where you're at, I still ask questions all the time.
Oh yeah.
I called George yesterday asking him how he'd handle something, right? And I'm a VP now, so it's not, and we as VPs, we talk all the time. We've got a text chain where we're asking questions all the time. Like it's not, and so even guys on our own team watching this that are project managers, don't think we know it all. Like we still talk to each other. We're still growing too. You're always growing. I know Brendan probably is still constantly growing. I know he is because I know
we say all the time. By we, like I know I say this, but we all say this. Like no one's arrived.
No,
I haven't.
not.
You haven't.
No.
There's still things I got to learn. Even guys like some of the massive companies, not only in DFW but Texas and nationwide, if they have that viewpoint that I've arrived, I know it all. You're going to hit a stopping point.
Absolutely.
Right. So you got to consistently learn. And at the beginning, it's easy because you don't know anything, right? It's like I have to learn to knock a door. I have to learn how to get on a roof. I have to learn all this stuff, which can be intimidating in itself because there's so much that you got to learn. Yeah. But like then you get at a point where I think this is a big trap people fall into is like, I've been doing it for 6 months. I've been doing it for a year. I've had a really good first 6 months. I'm making more money I've ever made in my life.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you could take that foot off the gas just a little bit.
Yeah.
It's July. It's a little hot right now. Like, oh, this girl invited me to the pool party. I'm gonna go to the pool party on a Thursday afternoon. It's like, we want you to have freedom. We want you to enjoy your life. But what got you to where you're at?
Absolutely.
And whatever that is, you double down on it. You don't take your foot off the gas. I remember, not to make this about me, but I think this is a good point. Like when I first got into roofing, my first paycheck I ever made, and this is back in 2018, 2019, where there was no deductible law yet. This is all before the September deductible law. And the norm in DFW was you covered deductibles.
Yeah, that's
right?
what it was.
I remember because my dad had a company, for those who don't know, and I remember like he would just tell me, I would ask him like, what is roofing? Like, what do you really do? He's like, people get their roofs done for free and insurance pays for it. I'm like, okay, so that was my mindset going into it. So I remember the first roof I ever did, I made like $700 off of it. And I was mad because, like when you get into it, like we do, like we tell these stories of like these good commissions you can make.
Life-changing financial.
Make really good money, blah, blah, blah. And I was frustrated. I was like, why is this? But then I remember like 2 weeks later, I closed out 2 jobs and I think I made like $6,000 or $7,000.
Yeah.
And my first thought that went through my mind, and mind you, I came from ministry, and I know you know this, but I wasn't. You're not in student ministry at least to make money. You shouldn't really, I think, be in ministry to make a ton of money. But if you do, hey, more power to you. I was not making a lot of money, but that was like a third of what I was making in a year that I had made like in 2 months. That's right. Crazy. So I was like, dude, first thought was I can go 4 months without having to collect another check, which is, I guess, was a good feeling because you get some of that pressure off and you're like, okay, I can breathe a little bit, right? It's not as intense, which could be a good thing and a bad thing. But then also the second thought I had, I'll never forget it. It's back when Yeezys were big. I was like, I can buy 2 pairs of Yeezys if I want to. And that's what I did. I went onto the GOAT app or whatever it was, and I got I think just the regular black ones or whatever. And
now it's the Travis Scott.
I thought it was so cool. I don't have any Travis Scotts.
Oh, I've got several pairs.
How many pairs of shoes do you have?
Oh, dude.
Is it bad?
Not crazy. Over 20, right? And
okay, that's a lot.
It's a lot, so but it's not crazy.
My brother, I'm going to get him this in a picture so we can put this on here. My brother have I shown you the picture of his closet?
I've seen your dad's closet. He's got a bunch of nice shoes. He's a sneaker guy too.
The closet's nicer.
Yeah.
The shoes in the selection, my brother, I'll have to ask him and find out. I guarantee you he has over $100,000 in shoes in his closet.
Oh my gosh.
Guarantee it.
Yeah.
He probably has 150 pairs.
Wow.
And he's, I'm not a real big sneakerhead. He's like, he could tell you all about it. Like he's got some crazy shoes.
That's awesome.
Crazy
That's
shoes.
cool,
So like
man.
that dude's a sneakerhead.
I'll say this: same thing when my wife went through with selling that, I sold a lot of my shoes and stuff too. So I've kind of
how mad
started
did that
over.
make you?
Oh yeah, it did. It's frustrating, but it's helped me. It's helped drive me and help me, know where we need to be.
Yeah.
And that's not as important anymore to me. It's silly when
Isn't
you
that
go
weird,
through that
right?
kind of stuff. When you go through that, like. So I honestly don't even buy them like I used to. And,
Well, I think
now I can do it better than I ever could have before. And it's just not as important
I think you
anymore.
realize you can live without it.
Yeah, it's not that important.
And it's like, I think that's another thing too. We can go down a rabbit hole about this for forever. Is I think when guys get into this and they've made money like they've never made before, you kind of go through an identity crisis.
Yeah.
Right. You go get a nice watch. You go buy a new truck. I just remember when I bought my first truck when I got into roofing. It was a Toyota Tacoma, but it was jacked up and had a light bar on it. I thought I was
You made it.
balling. And I think I used like half that first couple of checks as my down payment.
There you go.
But like it just, I could tell it affected me in a negative way. I guess the good thing is that like it built confidence, which helped me a little bit on the sales side.
For sure.
But like that was almost my identity for a while. It was like having a nice truck, buying some Yeezys, and
Very common.
it's like then you learn like you mature like we always do. And I was really young at the time. I think I was 21 when I got into roofing.
Yeah.
So I was like, that stuff was just super, super, super important to me. And what didn't help, which I think a lot of people don't talk about this, was like I was the first person of any of my friends, any of them, to make any sort of money.
Yeah.
At all. And by money, like my first year I made $100,000 in this.
Yeah.
And back then, like
That's a big deal at 21.
That was
man.
a lot of money
That's
to me.
a big deal.
And I'm back in 2019. This is pre-COVID, before everything is super expensive or whatever. But dude, like I remember my buddies telling me like, "Oh my gosh, dude, you're killing it!" Like, and it, I don't know.
Well,
like,
you were.
It just put a weird pressure on me, and like that was my identity to where like, oh, they think I'm absolutely killing it, which I feel like I was doing good, but I don't know. It was just a weird pressure that like you kind of have to learn to live with when you start doing a little bit better. But like, long story short, going back to like the shoe thing, like you learn like you don't have to live with that.
For sure, man. And I think the biggest thing we learned going through the financial stuff is like we didn't miss the stuff. We missed the experiences, right? And we missed being able to do the vacations and experience thing with our kids. So that's our whole mindset has changed towards that stuff. Like we would much rather do stuff with our family and create memories and create those core things they don't forget.
Absolutely.
So that's been much more important to us now. Not to say we don't still. I just told you I'm buying a purse for my wife, but we didn't. We're vacations. The things, the extras are different now than what they used to be. We don't just go spend it like we used to. It's thought out. We waited a long time, but I mean, you know how well I've done so far. We've waited a long time for me to get her that purse. You know, so
well, also too, like you mentioned, not to go too far into it because it's your personal business, but like you were trying to get out of a hole that y'all kind of were put in, right? So like that's the main priority, and kind of going back to you were talking about like your why and your reason. Like obviously your reason for us, it's easy. We have a wife, we have kids, like. It's a massive advantage that we have.
For sure.
It's like if you're listening and you're a young man, get married and have kids.
Yeah.
And it's not for financial gain. It's like
motivation.
Go build something.
Yes.
Like
build a legacy.
It drives me crazy. Like friends I grew up with, like, hey man, when you get married? Oh no. I was talking to a guy the other day. Hey man, you got a girlfriend? What's the plan?
Yeah.
It's not somebody that works with us. It's just some guy I grew up with. Yeah, just taking it slow, they're living together and just like, dude, get married, start a family. Yeah. Like that's a whole nother point. But anyways, it's just that like, you don't have to live with that stuff, right? Yeah. And I think that's what you realize is like, I don't need the shoes. I don't need the purse. It's great. It's cool.
Yeah.
And, going back to the why, like the whole reason that you're buying a purse, for her tomorrow is like, we had to get rid of it. So I want to show her like, hey, we're back and better than ever.
Yes,
you know?
absolutely. It's more. It's also our 10-year anniversary this week, so
good
it's a built-in reason there
reason.
too, right? So, but you know, on top of that, man, it's more. It's a kind of a thank you as much as anything, because I know what she's given up to us for fight through our goals and our dreams, you know. So, and it's kind of a, hey, look, we've made it through those times. Now we're in a better spot than we've ever been. So,
well, I know you know this, but we call it we call the company Vision Roofing. Not like, if you look at, if you go online, you just look up DFW roofer, right? Almost all of them are a 3-letter name. Not calling anybody out. One of my best buddies owns a company, it's a 3-letter name, and they're awesome. But it's like, I wanted to do something that was a little bit different, right? And you know, we always talk about this, like what vision means to me, and I learned this when I was in ministry, is, you know, vision is the why behind the what. So like, again, you were talking about your why. Like, that's where I was going with that is, you know, we have a family, we have kids, we have, like, that's in my opinion, that's the best foundation to get your freaking butt up out of bed and
for sure.
go. Because we don't have the choice to not make it work.
No.
Like you mentioned earlier, like if we fail, they fail.
Everyone fails.
You know, so like that pressure, in my opinion, if you're the right type of guy to deal with that pressure, it's going to turn you into an absolute monster in a good way.
Can. That's why we have a bunch of them on our team.
Absolutely.
Too. But you don't have to have that to build that either. But that's why I think it's important to have your goals and to have your big why and know what you're there for.
Yeah.
If you come in just being okay with, oh, I just need a deal this month. Or I just, you know, you're not going to have success. You're not going to build something that's worthwhile.
It's also more stressful.
For sure.
Right? Like,
I agree.
You're like, man, I'm treading water here. I'm treading water here. I'm treading water here. And like, for someone like you, it's like, what's stressful for you is a completely different stress for somebody else that's just treading water. Like, your goal is to hit $100,000 in sales every single month, no matter what. And if you can do that, you know you're going to be where you need to be. And that stress is a totally different feeling than, again, treading water.
For sure. Absolutely. Absolutely is.
What, I guess, what are some other reasons besides the family? Like, let's say somebody's watching and they don't have a family yet. They're not married. Maybe they don't even have a girlfriend, right? What were some other, I guess, what was the why factor besides the family? Because I feel like we have a lot of reasons.
For sure. I mean, and when you're young, some of them can be, you know, like you were talking about, maybe not a watch or anything like that, but if you wanted a boat, if you wanted a new vehicle, say your vehicle's not in great shape, things like that can be a temporary big why. Or a big one that I think when you're young too, that should be, is a new home, right? So if you're wanting to buy your first home, I think it's a great goal to have for your savings, to get that savings up, and just a history enough to be able to be approved for a loan, right? So I think those are great big whys for young guys.
Absolutely.
You know, I wouldn't say a watch or shoes are a great big why. Those are more rewards. So I've told, and it's funny, we brought up those a couple of times now. I use those as a reward sometimes, like I have in the past. So like if I have a month where I make 30 grand, then I'll have something as like, if I hit 30 grand, I'm going to get this for myself. There's something I've wanted for a long time, like a pair of Travis Scott's or whatever it is. I'm not going to get these until I hit 30 grand, and I know it's not going to affect anything else. You know what I mean? That's what I would use those for. You know, the things like the shoes and the watches and stuff, and the stuff that's superficial, right? Doesn't really matter. But like for big things, I think those are good whys. You know, I think, especially when you're young, really savings is a big thing too. I wish I would have done when I was young. That's one thing I wish I did better at, you know.
How old were you when you got into real estate?
Let's see. Early 30s.
Okay. Roughly what were you making when you were coaching?
Oh, shoot. My best year in coaching. So I was one of the higher paid wrestling coaches in Texas, top 5 at one point. You know, when I was coming out. I like
how you say that before you say,
well,
the number right here.
So after taxes and everything came out of my check, I was making $4,400 a month.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think my actual what I was making was like $72K, right? But what I was really bringing home after insurance, taxes, everything was like $4,400 a month, you know. And it's funny you bring that up. I told George in December was my biggest straight month. Well, I've passed that now, but my biggest straight month at the time, I made more in December than I'd made in my best full year in teaching, which is amazing.
6 months in at that time.
Yeah, 6 months in.
Yeah.
And so,
what did you make that month?
it was over 50. I don't remember exactly what it was, but It was
1 month.
It was huge, man.
1 month.
But it didn't come from that month work, right? That came from a lot of work over several months.
And that's a common misconception on that point. If you're watching this and you're thinking about getting into roofing and you're seeing all these videos of people saying, man, you're going to make 50 grand a month, you're going to make 40 grand a month. That's not what you did 2 weeks ago.
No.
There's a sales process to this, and it's a buildup. It's the snowball effect for sure. And I don't know. I just see a lot of stuff online where it's like, dude, you got to get into roofing. The money's crazy. The commissions are unbelievable. It's the next millionaire class, blah, blah, blah. I think all that stuff's great and true, but I think it can be a little misleading.
For sure.
Like,
you have to build that pipeline.
Like my dad would always tell me, or I would hear him say to like new hires, like, hey, I want you to know, like, this is not glamorous.
No, definitely not.
It's not glamorous.
No.
Especially during the summer months, right? Like, obviously, we're not installing the roofs, and thank God for our guys because they are unbelievable what they do, and we wouldn't have a job without them. But just knocking doors in the middle of summer, and we do climb the roofs and
inspect them. Yeah.
You do that at 3 o'clock in the middle of July, you're gonna be drenched in sweat, and you're gonna be questioning, do I really, really want to be doing this?
You come down trying to show the homeowners the phones or the photos, and you're dripping sweat.
Yep. And the phone is literally overheating. It's like dark mode, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to show you pictures so you can file a claim, dude. It's just, again, going back to like, it's not glamorous.
No.
So kind of like circle all that up. Like, again, we call it vision. It's the why behind the what. And like the what for us of what we do as roofers is, we knock doors, we sell roofs, we go to clients' houses, trying to sign contracts, we do inspections, all the above. But the why is unique to the individual, right? So like, I don't know. I just think for young guys, because I think if you're a young guy, you should really consider getting into this.
I wish I would have.
If you can communicate at all, and you have good work ethic, you should get into roofing.
Absolutely. I've been telling this to guys interviewing. You don't have to have sales experience. You don't have to have roofing experience to get into this. You have to be able to talk. You have to be able to communicate. I can teach you everything else, right? And I completely agree with you.
Well, some of our best guys making the most money have zero sales experience. Yeah. Before I got into this, I had no sales experience at all.
Didn't you say Brandon, before he got into roofing, had he done sales before? Or?
No. Yeah. He was working at like JB Hunt.
And he's finished #1 in the company the last 3 years, right? So that tells you right there, I mean, #1 guy in our company who is a absolute monster, it didn't. So you don't have to be there.
And he started off hot a few years ago. Like, it wasn't this big, gap that he had to bridge and figure out, like, hey, how do I talk to people? How do I sell? Like, he came into it, he had a little bit of savings, and he knew there's a little bit of a pay gap here. It's time to go. Yeah. And he made it work. But he can communicate really well. Yes. Right. So, for us, like, I don't like hiring guys that have roofing experience. Yeah. I'm sure you probably feel the same way. Yeah. I don't think they're all bad, but especially in Texas because it's so rogue. And there's so many different approaches and companies. There's just a lot of bad apples, and I think there's a lot of bad habits.
Learn the wrong way.
It's way harder to reteach somebody how we approach something than just start from scratch.
For sure.
I would rather bring in somebody that has zero sales experience than bring in somebody who is a $2 million producer in DFW. Because there's a couple things. One, if you're leaving a company, why are you going to stay with us? That's the first. That's where my head goes first. Yeah, it's like, okay, even if you came with us and you're like, man, leadership's great and I can make more money here, blah blah blah. What's stopping you from going to another company? Yeah, right. It's like I don't want people. I don't want to be a lily pad for somebody. Yeah. That's one thing. But two, like, you're gonna do it a little bit differently than we do it. Yeah. And again, there's many ways to skin the cat. Yeah. But when we have somebody going way off the rails, go work somewhere else.
Yeah,
go work somewhere else. Go somewhere else.
Because that's contagious. Just like the right attitude and the right mindset's contagious, so is completely opposite.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. But like again, like going back to the why is unique to the individual. Like, again, we have very similar whys. We're very similar in a lot of different ways. Yeah. But you need to figure out, like, if you're a man between the ages of 20 and 40 years old and you aren't financially where you need to be, that's where I would start.
Absolutely.
Is like,
it has to be.
Why am I here? By here, I mean on earth. Why am I here? What have I done with my life up to this point? And where am I going? Yeah. It's like, you got to wake up. You got to wake up.
I think with anyone I bring on, that's the first thing we're going to go over right? You know, and we have to go over is
Yes.
why you're doing this, what's important to you. I've got to know what their mission is, because when we have hard times, which we will, well, I've had hard times in this. Like I've had a month of January, I didn't sign a deal this year, and that was awful for me.
That made you feel great.
Oh yeah, it was tough, man. But those happen. Even to the best guys, you're going to have months like that. You got to remember why you're doing it, and got to have that motivation. And I think for me as a leader now, like being able to point back to that with guys is super important, and bring them back to, hey, remember this. This is your goal. Great, you got this deal.
Yeah.
You're going to make 10 grand this week. Well, remember, you need 40, right? So this is what you need to do. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, I think that's
That's what I was going to ask is like, why is the why important?
yes.
You know, like the why is important because, like we just talked about, this job is not glamorous,
No.
right? You know, like this is like the fun thing. Like we just
For
do
sure.
this for fun when we have free time.
Yeah.
Like what we really do is busting our butts, really grinding all the time. And again, we're not perfect. We're not saying we're better than everybody else, but like we work hard.
Yes, we do.
And it's hard. There's a lot of failures, you know. There's a lot of moments where you question, you know, why did that happen? You know, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with the company? What's wrong with the industry? Whatever, right? Like all these thoughts have come into my head, and I'm sure they have for you and everybody else. It's like in those moments where it's tough, when you have the bad months, when you have the bad day, the bad week, it's like you got to have it in your face and in your mind. Why am I here?
Yeah.
Because if you don't know why you're here, you're in this industry one day and you're out the industry the next. And
100%.
even if you stay within the industry, what's going to happen is if you don't have a good reason of not only why you're in the industry, but why you're working with the company you're working with, when somebody makes you mad, whether it's leadership or a coworker, you're like, bump this, I'm going to go to another company.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to show them.
For sure.
And it's like,
You're going to get burnt out real quick.
yeah, you got to know why you're doing this. And again, that's why we call it vision. It's like, it's the why behind the what. Because dude, if you don't know why you're here, not only at like at the company or you know your specific project manager role, leadership role, whatever, like again, it's just you get, like you said, burned out.
Yeah, for
Burned
sure.
out.
For sure.
And it's just the worst. So how long were you in real estate?
For 7-8 years.
Okay. Did you like it?
I did. There's several things I liked about it. You know, I did. We got towards the end, the market started to change. I'm always try and think ahead, right? So I started looking into I think my biggest thing, that mistake I made, was going into flipping. You know, more than, and starting to concentrate on that. And but yeah, I enjoyed real estate. I'm certainly glad I'm in roofing now. I wish I would have done it a lot sooner.
Yeah.
You know, I wish I would have known what I know now about it. It's different than what people think, you know?
I guess I've been in roofing for, 8, almost 9 years now. So I'm kind of in a bubble. What do people think about roofing?
Well, so it just depends on who you're talking to, right? So, you know, a lot of people don't realize there's two parts of roofing, right? The actual roof going on, and then our part of it, where it's the sales customer relation part.
Yep.
Which both are very important. Like Brendan said earlier, we couldn't do our job without having great crews, and we have as good as anyone in DFW, I believe, with our crews. But dealing with the customers is equally important too. Like being able to be there for them, and it's more than just the sales, right? It's about making them feel comfortable, because anyone can put a roof on, right? But having someone that you're actually comfortable with, and I always tell my clients when I'm talking to them that I want them, anytime they hear the word roof, they're already saying my name. Like before they even hear the whole conversation, they're saying, I've got a great roofer for you, because of the experience they had with me.
Yeah.
I tell that to every customer.
Yep.
And that's probably why I get a lot of referrals, is because I'm putting in their mind already, remember our experience. Think about how this is going. I want you to remember this through. How I treat you is how I treat every customer, right? So you can have confidence in knowing you're referring me. Also, I give them a referral fee for recommending me.
There's nothing wrong with paying for a date night.
Absolutely, right? Come on. But I'll do that when we can. But I think that's super important.
Yeah,
I do.
What I guess what were your misconceptions about the
Yeah.
industry?
So you think, you know, people think and this we deal with this a lot when we're knocking doors. They say, "Hey, I'm Craig with Vision Roofing." They hear roofing and they think you're a sleazy salesman right away, right?
Ambulance chaser.
Absolutely,
I hear that all the time.
100%. And I think that's the biggest thing most people that don't have an
What
understanding.
would you say? What would you say to somebody that would call you an ambulance chaser? Why are we not ambulance chasers?
Well, for one reason, we're not going after people that don't need help, right? We're going for people that are actually in a big need, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean they just got hit by a big storm. I probably half of my roofs I've done this year were just older roofs, right? That I could see damage driving by, and I just happened to see it and stopped and talked to them and pointed out stuff they weren't aware of, right? We're not ambulance chasers because we're here to help. We're not here to, ambulance chaser to me is someone that's almost like looking like they're trying to create a problem and they're looking for a problem to be created. I'm here to solve a problem that's already there, right? And I think that's the difference really is that we're trying to help people that are in need, whether they realize it or not. We're going to make them aware, hey, if you don't get this addressed, you're going to have a bigger problem where you're having leaks and you're having stuff in your house. That's an issue. And then you're having framing issues, maybe your material stuff, and it's going to be big.
It's also the insurance side too, right?
Yeah.
If there's damage and you don't get it covered within your coverage window, what happens? You pay for the whole thing out of pocket potentially, right? So there's a few different aspects, but I think that's the key difference is like we show up when they actually need something.
Yes.
Right. And I was talking to somebody about this the other day, like, listen, I'm a homeowner, right? If I hadn't knocked doors doing what I do, I would feel the exact same way with people knocking on my door, right? And one of the neighborhood I lived in, my old house, there's like 4,000 houses, so we'd get door knockers all the time. Yeah, I look at it differently because I'm like, oh, this is a recruit or potential recruit. Like, come work with me, dude. Like, you can make great money. But I would still even get annoyed sometimes if the same guy would show up every once in a while, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, another pest control guy. And the thing about like pest control, or in like some other services, right? Like, think about it. They would be out of business if they solved the problem.
Yeah, it's true.
Like for us, because of it's a roof on a house, if we don't do it the right way and we warranty our work, we're out of business.
Then we're out of business. Yeah.
So like we actually have to fix the problem.
Yes.
So I think it's a good point is like, it's a necessity, not like, hey, we saw this, we're helping blank and blank. Do you know the Johnsons? Yeah. Oh yeah. We're going to be out here tomorrow, so we're going to give you a better discount. Like, I feel like that's like, again, nothing wrong with it. It is very salesy. Yeah. So like when they see us and there's a lot of roofers, they hear the word roof, immediately it's like,
they hear that.
Oh my gosh, another roofer. Good God, go away. For sure. So yeah, that's a big misconception. It's a good point to bring up.
Well, and a lot of look, there are a lot of people out there that it doesn't matter what the roof looks like. They're going to try and sell it. They're going to try and get a new roof on it. Well,
going back to the bad apples in our industry.
For sure. And that has created that image a lot too because of that, right? I think that's one thing that makes us different. And there's other companies like us too out there, a lot of them, I'm sure. But we are actually we don't go to a house that has a brand new roof, not purposely, right? So, and most of, if you do, it's maybe a newer guy that's still learning, but yes. But we actually are looking for people that actually need us, and that's or there's a potential to need us, that at least need to have it checked.
Well, I think that goes kind of segue on that. It's like, you got to be honest. Yeah. We're not perfect, but you got to try to be honest. Yeah. I feel like, sometimes I feel better coming down, giving them a clean bill of health, because especially if we got called out, they're worried about it. Whether a realtor reached out to us or it was a homeowner that reached out to us that knows us through a family friend or whatever, they're like, man, I'm worried about it for whatever reason. And being able to tell them like, no, you're good. That's a great feeling. For sure. But it's also a good feeling too, when you do find damage, right? Like you are going to help them through the process. Yeah. And like, take away what you know now about like the claims process and how everything works. Do you really think as a homeowner before you got into this, you could run that by yourself?
No way. Absolutely not.
I don't know. There's some homeowners that try. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah,
there's too many moving parts.
No, even if you try and do research online and stuff like that, there's so much to go with it.
Well, there's so much misinformation.
Yes.
And again, because it's rogue, because there's not a license required in Texas, you're going to see so many different things, and some people don't care about some of the laws that are in place because again, they're not going to lose their license. For sure. They can close down shop and open up another LLC tomorrow, and you would never know that they had a prior LLC ever. And you never knew like, oh, that company went under because they were doing fraud and eating deductibles or whatever. And like now it's a new company. They got like 5 reviews and they're all 5 stars. You're like, man, it's a small business. Let me give them a chance.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So were there any other misconceptions that you personally had about the business?
That was the biggest thing, man. And, you know, having any kind of injuries from sports and stuff too, getting up and down roofs made my wife nervous about me doing it. Right. Yeah. So, realizing it's safer than you think it is too. You know, a lot of people, I mean, not that it's not dangerous, but the way we're taught to inspect roofs and the way the things we use to help us, it makes it much safer. So it's not as dangerous as you think it would be.
Well, we're not adjusters, right? No, so we don't have to look at every little linear footage of gutter and do every single 10 by 10 on a roof perfectly. You know, that's a big thing that I hear with, you know, applicants. When we get to that point, we're like, yeah, we actually climb the roofs and we do inspections. I can think of a few guys that I know personally that would be phenomenal in this business, but they're like, I don't want to get on a roof.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny about that? My dad owned a roofing company, was one of the largest in Texas, sold it, and he made squillions of money, squillions of dollars, sorry, a few years ago. He's afraid of heights. Did I tell you that?
I didn't know that. Is he really?
He didn't fly on an airplane until like 4 years ago.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
So the guy's afraid of heights, owned a roofing company.
And not just any roofing company too, one of the biggest.
The company at the time. Yeah. And dude, when he got on the roof, he's a spider monkey. So it's interesting. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, because like I'll hear guys tell me all the time, like I'm afraid of heights. I can't do that. If you want something bad enough and you want to change your life bad enough, you'll do almost anything.
Yeah,
and it's not even that. It's always dangerous because you're on a ladder. If you're more than 3 feet up in the air, like you can get hurt. Yeah. But it's like, you know, we don't ever force somebody to get on a roof. Like we do ladder inspections, drone inspections all the time.
I tell you, I can count on one hand how many times I've gotten on a roof since I've been here that I've been nervous.
I got nervous back. I don't know if you remember this back in April.
Yeah.
You got on the roof and I was like, you need to go up in a different spot, you psychopath. And now you're like, dude, I see the money. I'm just going to do it. You kind of get used to it. You get your sea legs.
Stinking George is a straight Spider-Man on roofs. So I kind of,
that's who I follow. Psychopath.
That's who I've learned from and how to climb them, right? So
that dude's crazy. Also, George is 6'6" and weighs 190 pounds, 200 pounds.
He'll take 230 is what he'll tell you.
He looks like that because his legs are so freaking long.
He looks like a spider.
It's crazy. Sure. It's crazy. Yeah, that's cool. Any other misconceptions maybe that you've heard of since you've been in the business now being on this side?
I mean, there's so many people that are just show up on storms and, you know, chucking a truck's what we call them, right? Guys that don't really even have a business. They're just starting because they're trying to take advantage of an opportunity we try and tell clients that all the time. Make sure you're vetting who you're talking to.
Yep.
Make sure they're licensed. You know, 4% of companies in Texas, 4 or 5% are licensed, right? So there's no governing body in Texas without having that licensing.
Let's talk about the license real quick. Yeah. I have had so many phone calls and conversations with other roofing companies.
Yeah.
And if you get online and you say that you're a licensed roofer in Texas, you go to the comments, there's no license in Texas. They're lying to you. It's just a membership. Yeah. You got to pay for it. Blah, 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 blah. My response is, well, why do I have a license number?
Yeah.
And why do you not?
Yeah.
You know, like I remember I had a conversation with another roofer not too long ago, and we had a guy knocking some doors, and he was knocking some signs, and the owner was just, I think, being a little rude to the project manager. Just saying, hey, man, get out of this neighborhood. This is my neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
I remember that.
Who has their own territories? It's just funny. But anyways, I called the owner, and we were cordial about it. But like, he is what I see online all the time. Like, there's not a license in Texas. Yeah. So tell them, how does licensing work in Texas? Why do we say we're licensed? Like, if somebody does, I guess, tell me, like, I'm a homeowner. I don't know how it works. Tell me that. And then also, after you do that, let's talk to the roofers that are watching and like, hey, there actually is a license.
Yeah, for sure.
So tell me, I'm a homeowner, I don't know anything. How does the licensing thing work?
So here's kind of how I approach it when I talk to them. I said, look, do you realize there's no licensing requirement in Texas? And most people do not know that.
Yeah.
Like, no, I didn't know that. It's like, so you could just have any chuck in the truck is what I say at that. That's when I bring that up. Coming by, he could come on your roof. do a ton of damage, even just on inspection.
Yeah.
And there's no one that's going to, you don't know who he is. There's no one that's going to hold him accountable. There's nothing that's going to affect him. Like he was saying earlier, if he had an LLC, change the name the next day, you know, and there's nothing ever that's going to hold him. Well, at least with the RCAT system, you at least have someone that you can be turned into, right?
Yes.
And it makes it where you have an accountability there. So if you do something wrong with this licensing, you know there's something, you know, there's a governing body that's gonna hold you accountable for that. So it gives our homeowners a little bit more, the people we work with, a little bit more comfort, knowing that, hey, if they don't do a good job, you turn them in, right? Yeah. And I always tell them after I say that, I say, you know, I tell you that because I know it's not going to happen, right? I know we're going to take care of you. I know we're not going to have an issue. So I say, feel free to do that because I know that's not going to happen, right? So
absolutely,
I always leave it with that. So I don't just bring it up, you know, just to say turn us in, all this stuff. I know you're not going to have to, you know.
But hey, turn us in. I mean, they're going to be impressed with our work. We do a pretty good job.
Absolutely.
What I always hear is from other roofers is it's a voluntary license. It's a membership. So tell me the difference between a membership and a license. So what is RCAT?
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, if you may have to explain, because I know you've done the whole testing and stuff for it, right? So to become licensed, you have to go. It's a pretty vigorous prospect, right?
Yeah. So basically, what you have to do. So there's a difference between a membership with RCAT.
Yeah, because there's both,
and a license with RCAT.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Very different. So like even if you go online, which I'm sure you know this, you can go online to RCAT. And so RCAT stands for Roofing Contractors Association of Texas. You can go online. You can go to the member. Search for members. You can also search for licensed companies. So if there's a company that's a member with RCAT, which a lot of companies are, to have that logo on their card. And listen, we did it at the beginning because we want to show that we're accountable and we have some credentials. Nothing wrong with that. Like you're still being held accountable. You're just not licensed yet.
Yeah.
You can look up a company that's just a member and they'll pull up. But if you click license, they won't pull up. So when you go on there and you search Vision Roofing and general contractors out of North Richland Hills, Fort Worth, whatever, we pull up as a licensed company. Well, there's a few things that you have to have and maintain to be licensed. First thing is you have to be in business for at least 2 years. So the average roofing company's life in the state of Texas is 2 years. That's why that's there.
Yeah, interesting.
And I don't know if you knew that. The reason why is, they'll have a big surge at the beginning. Everybody's motivated, blah, blah, blah. And it turns into a cash flow issue. Yeah. And people kind of get fat. People get lazy. Maybe they go buy a nice truck and kind of all the stuff we were talking about earlier, but from an ownership level. So, and then what, a leak occurs, they don't have the right warranties in place or they just did something wrong. Like you can go out of business pretty easy in roofing if you don't know what you're doing. So that's the first thing. You got to be in business for at least 2 years. You also have to have and maintain active liability insurance. That's at least $1 million. Ours is a $2 million blanket policy. And there's some companies that got some bigger ones, but that's kind of the norm there. Also, too, you have to be invited by other roofers and other suppliers. So the way roofing works in Texas, for those that don't know, we're here at our office. It's kind of just like a regular office. We don't have a big warehouse with shingles and metal and whatever else. Yeah. We go through a supply house, and on ours that we go through is ABC. So they have to invite us in. The only way that they'll invite us in is if we actually pay our bills. Yeah. That's another thing I tell homeowners to look at is like, hey, who is their supplier? Call the supplier and see if they're paying their bills. Yeah. I mean, there's companies out there that are a year behind on their bills, and they keep giving grace and grace and grace from the supplier, and then eventually they go out of business.
That's got to be a red flag to you as a homeowner too. If they're not paying their suppliers, who's to say they're not going to take your money and run?
Again, you go on some of these different groups, like there's some Facebook groups like Name That Shingle, and you don't see this too much on Name That Shingle, but like Level the Playing Field or DFW Subcontractors. You've probably seen some of the posts, like from the labor side. Oh, this guy hasn't paid me, and they show all these receipts of all the texts, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, man, if you find yourself in deep water, like
you're screwed.
Get out of the deep water before you keep selling. It sucks because you got to sell to get out of the water. It's a mess. It's a mess. So you got to have everything organized. So, anyways, again, you could be a member where you got to have some of that stuff maintained. But the two key differences is you have to be in business for 2 years at least, and you have to take 2 different tests. You have to take a test regarding like tax jurisdiction and how you should structure the company and just kind of some of the boring, mundane stuff that it matters, but it's kind of boring. And then you have to do the product knowledge stuff,
Yeah.
right? Like how to install a roof, the underlayment you got to use, kind of codes and whatnot. And I think both tests are like, I think one was 50 questions and then the other one was like 75 questions.
Yeah.
You gotta grade it, be graded on a certain level. If you don't pass it, you only have a few chances to take it. So it's really, you are going the extra mile to have a license with RCAT.
Yeah,
You know,
for
you
sure.
actually have to have this stuff in place. You actually got to know what you're doing. But again, I just find it so funny when these other roofers are like, there's not a license in Texas.
Yeah.
There is a license.
Yes.
We have a license number. It's with RCAT. Is it voluntary? 100%.
Yeah.
But I think because it's voluntary, actually speaks volumes to the people
Company.
that are licensed.
Absolutely.
If we're going out of our way and we got to pay a membership fee, I have to take these tests. I got to re-up on all this stuff every year. I mean, it's the last thing I want to do. I don't want to do it.
For sure. And on that note too, I think it shows that we're going out our way to show we're trustworthy.
Yeah.
Right. And to show that, hey, we know we do things right. So we're going to have this where you can call us in if we don't.
Yep.
Right. So, I mean, I think that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Right.
Last thing before we go, I know you're a man of faith, and I know
Yes, sir.
that's important to you.
Absolutely.
What's your story with your faith?
Man, I was raised Pentecostal in a church in Oklahoma. That's cool. That's cool. You asked me that. So
Heck yeah, man.
I wasn't expecting that question. I'm glad you asked me though. So
You're on the clock.
Yeah. Well, I actually got saved when I was 8 years old.
Awesome. I was about the same age.
Yeah. So I was at church camp.
Okay.
Turner Falls, in Oklahoma. It's a little town in Davis. They have a church camp there. You may have driven by it. They have 3 crosses up at the top of the mountain. There,
I don't think I've ever driven by
church
it.
camp. Well, anyways,
cool.
I got saved at the church camp, and I've been a follower ever since. You know, I've had my times through, you know, especially through the college years where didn't live the way I should have at times, but I've always gone back to my faith. I've always been, and it's got me through some really hard times and some. I got to feel like there's some things I could write a book about with the struggles I've been through and to where I've come.
Yep.
Like it's been awesome. You know, faith has been a huge part of a family too, and you know, I wear the cross every day, and it's more a symbol for my family. So actually, this is something it's kind of a cool story behind the cross. So my dad had the same cross. He passed away in 2009, but had the same cross. Was buried wearing that. Well, and when both of my sons got saved, I got them the same cross. So they both wear the same cross as well. So
pretty cool.
Kind of made it a family tradition. My daughter, she's getting to that age where she's understanding enough to know what it is, and she's wanting to, you know, she's already. I don't think it'll be long for her too, but she's been wanting to cross. She's been wanting to say that, but I feel like she has to show us that she has an understanding for what it means before, you know what I mean, before we actually can say, you know, she can say that, you know, but yeah, so it's something that's our whole life is centered around that, man. And
awesome.
it's I think it's got it for me, in my opinion, it's got to be first. You know, I think everything else comes from that. You know,
It's the ultimate why.
Absolutely,
It's the ultimate why.
it is.
And you know, there's no shade, there's no shame if you don't believe. But man, I don't know how you go through life without it.
Yeah, for sure.
Honestly,
What's your story on yours? I haven't heard it. I know
we haven't talked about
the
that.
script. Nuh-uh.
We haven't talked about that.
No.
It's weird. Like I remember growing up, like before my parents were never married. I don't know the exact story, but I don't ever remember them being together.
Yeah.
Long story short. So I don't know if they split up right before I was born or right after, whatever.
Yeah.
But they've always been very cordial, which I'm very thankful for.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very thankful because they truly enjoy each other. They've never put me in the middle of their issues. So that's another story, but whatever. Anyways, before my dad met my stepmom, we didn't really go to church. I remember going to church one time, and I don't remember what for. I had to be, 5 or 6 years old. And it was the classic, it was probably a Catholic church, wooden pews, you know, all that stuff. Again, nothing wrong with that, but that's what I thought church was.
Yeah.
And then when my dad met my stepmom, you know, as all guys do, like when you meet a new girl and you start dating, you want to be around them as much as you can.
Yeah.
And she was going to church. So we
y'all
started going to church. Yep. So now we're a church family. But before that, I always remember it was weird. It's like, you know, I think God like he grabs you you know, and
Absolutely.
and he chooses you to be a part of his family. I was a part of his family before I ever knew,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Before I
such a
ever
cool
made that
thing to
decision,
say.
because I remember.
That's such a cool statement. I was part of God's family before I ever even knew.
Well,
That's
the reason I say that is my dad and I were big Linkin Park fans.
okay.
Even like when I was like 5 years old,
Yeah.
like listening to Linkin Park, I thought it was the coolest music ever. I remember I'd be in the back seat and we would pass a church and I'd stop singing for whatever. I don't know why. I don't know if it because, and again, we'd never really gone to church,
Yeah.
so I don't know why I did that. But I just
Something-
not that there's
something
anything
tugged
wrong
at
with
you.
Linkin Park or whatever. That's
Yeah.
not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's satanic. I'm not saying that. But what
No.
I'm saying is like it was already on my mind and my heart. Like you know, like I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like is that something I was being pulled towards it
That's so
for
cool,
whatever
man.
reason. And anyway, so we started going to church. They met when I think I was like 7. Got married pretty shortly after. And you know we were at church every Sunday. Went to same thing church camp. You know I don't remember which you know I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't remember a specific day where I was like, hey, man, I gave my life to Christ on this specific day,
Yeah.
this date, this time. I was 7 years old, whatever. I think I was 8 or 9. And I know the time I truly remember, like, hey, man, like, I'm giving my life to Jesus.
You understood
was at church camp. They called it Lasso Ranch, and we got baptized as a family. So me and my brother got baptized as my stepbrother. So my stepmom's son, and then my dad and my stepmom, we all got baptized together. So
That's awesome.
But
man.
like after
what an experience.
it was super cool. But I was really young, and you know, I understood it. I could grasp it, right? Like
Yeah.
Bible talks about childlike faith. Like you know, almost anybody can understand it, right?
Yeah.
Like we're faulty, we've messed up. God's perfect, we can't get there, but we got to bridge that gap, and Jesus is the bridge.
the gap.
Point
Yes,
point
absolutely.
blank period. You can't get there, you know, not through Him. Point
Yeah.
blank period. So I think anybody can understand that. It's just like, do you believe it or not?
Yeah.
Are you willing to make the sacrifices for it? And
That's a great way to explain it too,
we
by
just-
the way.
I didn't have the best model of making church the number one thing consistently.
Yeah.
We would go through periods of we're going to church no matter what, whether you want to go or not. And then other times I was playing baseball and maybe we don't need to go,
Yeah.
you know? And I remember this very vividly. I had a kid on my team playing travel baseball. His name was Trenton, and his mom would not let him play Sunday mornings.
Yeah.
They had to go to church, and he's one of the best players on the team. Like he made a difference for us when we played these tournament travel ball games. They would not go to a game, I think, before like 11 o'clock. And I remember thinking that was weird. And I'd already been saved at this time,
Yeah.
you know? So again, it's just kind of some of the inconsistencies didn't give me, I guess, the best model of like, hey, this is what's most important. But then when I met my wife going into my senior year at church camp, same thing, like, you know, as my dad, like she was going to church, I was going to be around her.
Yeah.
And God used her to make me show up on not only Wednesday nights and Sunday mornings, but I was there super early on not only Wednesdays and Sundays to kind of serve and set up. I was also there like Tuesdays and Mondays just so I could be around her. And it put me in front of people that I still know today that I would still call my, like, those are my pastors.
Yeah.
Where they were like, dude, you have a calling for this. You need to get into it. And that's when I really started taking it seriously.
Awesome.
Where I was like, okay, like this is cool. And I remember where I was like, okay, maybe I should get into this full time after high school or whatever. Because I knew I wasn't going to college. I'm not like you. I'm not book smart at all. I graduated with
You're a very smart person.
not book smart. Thank you. Not book smart. I graduated pre-cal with a 69. How is that even possible? I don't know, but I graduated by the grace of God. So I knew I wasn't going to college, and you know I wasn't a great athlete like you. So I just made the decision like, hey, I'm going to go into this full time. But I remember there was a week in the fall of 2015 where they did this on the Wednesday night, like a school showdown or whatever. Where it's like, hey, whoever brought the most students from your school, y'all win this big trophy, and we'll give you Chick-fil-A gift cards or whatever it was, some giveaway. And I'd been going consistently, like really getting plugged in for maybe a month, and I got like 50 students to show up.
That's amazing.
And I was like, oh, this is cool. Like,
Yeah.
for whatever
You're
reason.
making a difference.
And I wasn't like super popular in high school. I wasn't like a weird kid. I was just kind of middle of the road, regular guy. I had a lot of different friend groups or whatever. And, but I was like, somehow, some way I got a lot of these kids to show up, I'm going to keep doing that. And I saw a lot of life change or whatever. And that, to me, I was like, going back to the reason why, I was like, dude, this is cool.
That's awesome.
This is cool.
That's so cool.
Anyways, that's kind of my story.
That's cool to hear, man. I'm glad we haven't talked about that. I know we're on a podcast talking about it, but
hey, you get forced to talk about things.
Yeah.
So.
When it comes out, it comes out. That's cool.
I guess the way we'll end these, like anything that you would leave for anybody, I guess anything that's been on your heart about whether it's roofing, leadership, whatever.
Man, I tell you, not that this is a recruiting thing, but I am building a team right now.
Yep.
If you're in a spot where you've like been thinking about a career change or just curious about roofing in general, give us a call, man. I'm trying to build some monsters and trying to change people's lives just like Vision has changed mine. And I'd love to help you do that. Sure. I know this isn't supposed to be a recruiting thing, but hey, I'm in the middle of building, right?
That's right. That's right.
Take any chance I can.
Well, the last thing I'll say is, I think that shows who you are and your character is like, no matter when, no matter what, no matter how, like when you have a goal and you have, no pun intended, a vision, it's like you're going to do what you need to do to get to that point. Yeah. And obviously, again, no pun intended, you see the vision of the company and where we're going. So like, like that's what's important.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't only benefit you and the company, it benefits these guys. Because we really
that's really what it's about.
We really try to pour into these guys.
For sure. That's even building the team and doing this, it's more about helping people than it is anything else. And that's why Brennan's so good at what he does is I think he gets, and I don't know if he'll even say this, but I know from being around him, he gets more joy out of seeing us do well and us make money and us change our lives than he does his own life. Like I've seen it enough to know, I'm not saying just blowing smoke. That's who he is. And I feel the same way. Like I'm really excited about being able to help people achieve what I've achieved, and even more, hopefully. Hopefully I can help guys to do better than I am doing and going to do.
To that point, knowing your story and where, when you started, where you were financially and where you are now, like you being able to virtually get out of debt, right? Mm-hmm.
We are.
Be able to buy your brand new truck that you wanted, to buy your wife a brand new Wagoneer, right? Again, it's not all about the money. I want to make that very clear.
Absolutely.
But when you do that and you make those posts and it's not a gloating thing. It's like, hey, look what I was able to do.
Blessing.
Like all this hard work, like look what I was able to do. And that's a big thing for us. Is culture is a big thing. So we have these group messages where we're celebrating all the time and we're just, propping each other up. When you make those posts or anybody makes those posts, to me, like that's what makes me happy.
Yeah.
Because I know whether I played a huge part in it or a small part in it, I played a part in it.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the same feeling or similar feeling that, Christ has whenever he uses us to share the gospel and put us in different people's lives. So
for sure,
it's, I don't know. It's just like, it's a cool feeling because this industry can really change your life.
Absolutely.
And, again, going back to what I was saying earlier, if you are between the ages of 20 and 40 and you don't know where you're going and what's next, even if you have a secure job, you should entertain it.
Absolutely.
You should entertain it. Roofing is on the rise.
Absolutely. And the way we do it, it doesn't matter what happens in the industry because it's always changing like that. And I've learned that being in real estate too. It's constantly changing. That's why growth is important. You've heard us talk in this podcast about how we know we haven't arrived. We're always trying to get better. We're always trying to learn. It's because no matter how much we feel like we know now or how much we've learned, it doesn't matter because 6 months from now, it's going to be different.
Absolutely.
Right? So like, I think that's one thing that makes Vision different is no matter where this industry goes, we're going to be at the top because of the leadership and because of seeing around the corners and being able to fight for those things. We got people that care, people that work, that's what makes it different.
Cool, man. Anything else you want to say?
That's it, brother.
Dude, let's do it.
All right.
First episode, we did it.
We got it done.
Come on.